California! We are at 9 pips for
What
California.
is Freeman doing in Missouri?
I don't understand putting that much money into Louisiana.
North Carolina going into the
This
Republican
is one of the
Conference.
most stunning results in 270 Live history.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the third annual 270 Live tournament. This is the first round matchup between number 1 seed Keegan Fong and number 9 seed Abigail. There's a lot to like with this matchup, with Abigail absolutely blowing Srish up in the first round. We have Abigail, who's going to be playing Trump, and Keegan, who's going to be playing Bernie Sanders. Riley, what are the keys for Abigail to keep the train moving and to take down Keegan in another exciting matchup?
I mean, I really just think staying aggressive and keeping Keegan on his toes. As we know, Keegan is a veteran of the 270 community. Not going to be easily phased.
First turn. Keegan
Very
Fong
quick.
going into California.
Wow. An interesting first. You don't usually see those 200K states get invested in first, but Bernie, he gets those high-tech bonuses. So this might be a potentially good play for him.
Absolutely. Well, Abigail looking like she's trying to be aggressive. She's making that play for Old South. She is getting the optimal path to getting Old South. So you really think that some of that training has paid off because she's already getting down those optimal paths to get those state groups early. As turn 2 ends with another quick turn. You have to think that Trump is trying to make a parlay for swing states with the move into Arizona and Georgia there.
I mean, I think that's smart, with that Old South, with that Virginia, that North Carolina. There's a fair amount of overlap between swing states and Old South, especially if you can eventually expand into Florida. I think both players are playing fine games right now. But it's really, that turn 5, turn 6, once we start seeing overlaps, when 270 truly comes alive.
Absolutely. It's just like a chess match. They're playing those openings, and they're just trying to get to the middle game with a solid play up front. As Abigail goes into Florida and Keegan secures California. So, with the move into Massachusetts, it's very clear that he's going for high tech from the start.
Certainly. And we don't see any New York investment yet. So not looking like any town and gown to complement those purchases in, Utah and Massachusetts. But high tech, that's 100K with, I believe, a 25% bonus for Bernie. That's a lot of money if he can get that in the next turn or two.
Absolutely. And you got to think that this is a little different from the way that Keegan typically plays. You know that his top strategy always is to get town and gown and try and parlay that into other state groups, and he's really cut against the grain going to California. We're hearing reports that there may be some thought process behind that. We have our sideline reporter Ryan on the sidelines. Can you tell us more about Keegan's play into California early?
Yeah, thanks, Steven. Once he went to California turn 1, I immediately started texting, calling some of my sources within the Keegan campaign. And there seems to be a little bit of turmoil. The fact that he's been on record numerous times saying that if you're a Democrat, the best way to start is through New York and not through California kind of seems like he might be experimenting, kind of taking this matchup lightly. And people within his campaign, after all the preparation that they put in, for him to kind of be experimenting in an official match in a double elimination tournament, it's kind of rubbing people the wrong way. I'm not going to lie. He's going to have to deal with that. And his campaign may be in a free fall if he loses this one.
Absolutely. Well, it looks as though Keegan is trying to chase a lot of those states that Abigail is already taking as he takes Georgia and Maryland, trying to do a reverse and take the Old South from her. I will say, Abigail has already secured swing states, so there is a lot of ability as she takes Virginia and holds it. There is a lot of ability for her to hold on to those states, although she does lose Old South there.
Honestly, not a great turn, especially, with states like North Carolina and Georgia, where theoretically some of that swing state money should have been able to defend those a little bit better. I think in the long term, I think Trump is still going to keep the Old South, but even with that 120K money balance, I think Trump's got caught on the back foot a little bit there.
And you just see Trump continue to put into some of those southern states that he had not previously that Bernie had only put maybe one tick into, as Abigail puts a lot into Alabama. She does secure Georgia by taking that back, so that is going to be a big step forward into maintaining control over the Old South. But you just have to wonder what Keegan's strategy is here. We talked a lot about making that first move away from the kind of standard opening, and it seems like it's happened pretty early with Bernie Sanders' his play into the Old South. So we'll see if Keegan is able to get Abigail off balance early and disrupt some of that aggressiveness, or if that's going to just cause for him to fall behind with Abigail playing really solidly so far.
I mean, certainly still. And we still see no New York investment, which is curious.
As Keegan takes Arizona. Trump putting into Illinois. You have to wonder if maybe making a play for manufacturing. That is a little interesting with some of the bonuses that Donald Trump has so far, as Keegan does put into New York and takes high tech.
Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder, that must be a town and gown next. I think, it honestly came a little bit late for me, but that's, once you get that, that's going to be a good foundation for Bernie here.
You got to think the town and gown is absolutely, as they conflict trying to max out Arizona. That's going to be a big loss of money for Abigail.
Mm-hmm.
Although she does secure the money from Illinois and takes Michigan from Keegan. Keegan securing New York. You're going to start to see Keegan get a lot of those bonuses rolling in with both New York and California, as Trump takes African American. But town and gown does go to Keegan. So far, at least on the map, there's not a lot of things that stand out to me. At least, Illinois going to Trump is very non-standard. But aside from that, it seems as though both players are playing pretty typical with what you see in actual American politics. So it's a very interesting solidification in that middle game after the really aggressive play by Bernie Sanders and the Keegan camp really early on.
I mean, certainly so. And I don't think, for as aggressive as Keegan was with, investing widely into states that Abigail has, so far, not a ton of results from that, save the take in Arizona. So I'm going to be curious, there's still a lot of electoral votes on the map, and there's still many state groups to be achieved. So
absolutely,
that's another full investment to Arizona.
Wow. Well, I would not be surprised in this turn to see at least one of them put into Texas, because it just looks like a lot of their strategies are going to hinge on getting either that oil and gas money, that Latino money, as they conflict in Michigan. That is going to be a lot of money lost for both of them.
That's a big one. Pull out in Mississippi.
You got to think you're already on turn 9 and no one has put into Texas. It is a very interesting strategy from the both of them. They got to think that whoever takes Texas later on is going to be able to cascade that into some really significant bonuses.
Certainly so. And I think, those Michigan and those Arizona conflicts, I think fortunately for both of them, canceled out, the advantages that might have been gained there. The money game's still tight. The electoral game's still tight. I don't know, Stephen, do you think there's anybody here that has a clear upper hand?
I really like the position that Keegan is in right now. You see that he's got a really open path. The Latino can get a lot of that money to be able to maybe make a play for Florida. He's put into a lot of states that Abigail really needs to hold in Pennsylvania and Illinois. And you have to think that Bernie Sanders is going to be able to wrestle away a few of those states and really have the whole house of cards collapse for Abigail, as Keegan does take Michigan.
It's big. It's in Oklahoma. But we do see the Trump investment into Texas.
We'll see if Abigail is able to turn that into something. It's still going to be another $400,000 to get anything out of that. But you have to think that if she wins that, it's going to be huge. She'll take manufacturing. It looks like she'll take agriculture. She'll take Potentially she'll take export driven. So there's just a lot of stuff in state groups that hinges on her taking Texas.
I mean, certainly. And we do see some Bernie investment, however, into states that might be, unconventional for a Democrat. I mean, I'm looking particularly at Oklahoma. I'm looking at North Dakota. Maybe hoping to take away some of that potential advantage from the oil and gas, from the agriculture, and maybe even without getting Texas, you know, hope to maybe make those state groups more competitive.
Absolutely. Well, Abigail has a lot of key states that Keegan is in and just kind of lurking around. So, if you are Abigail, you have to try and step on the gas right now, because if it gets to the point, as Abigail does take and secure Maryland, that's going to be big. You have to think that she really needs to step on the gas and really snowball this right now, because if Keegan just kind of hangs around in all of these states as Keegan takes Tennessee, it's going to allow him to pick off those really big states later on, and it may collapse for Abigail if she doesn't put on the gas right now.
Certainly. I mean, that's, for the amount of money spent there, not a ton of gains for the Bernie camp. I mean, gained Tennessee, but lost Colorado and lost Maryland, and with a max out in Maryland, and Trump's only one away from Texas. So I'm really interested to see what the state groups look like after next turn.
Absolutely, but you have to look at the states of Michigan and Pennsylvania. I think either one of those is going to flip on this turn. There's just a lot of money tied up between the two of them. They're both key states for the other one. You have to think that both of them are looking at those as potential pickup pieces. But with Abigail, there's just $200,000 that are going to have to go into Texas this turn. So as Illinois does flip to Keegan, that's one of the states that you look at and you were really wondering if she was going to be able to hold all of them.
Certainly. And it looks like we have some incoming reporting from our sideline reporter, Ryan.
She does take Michigan.
Ryan, let's take it to you.
Hey guys, yeah, I do think it might be getting understated in the booth, but down here on the field, I mean, there is a various amounts of chaos going on. We have to remember Keegan Fogg is one of the most legendary and unbeatable forces in 270 Live history. And this man is going up against the ninth seed Abigail, and is currently in a little bit of a dogfight. I got a text, and this will be the last thing I got to say on this matter, because I think it speaks for itself. I got a text from a Keegan senior campaign aide that just says, "We're in shambles."
Well, that is absolutely
shocking to hear.
That is absolutely not what you want to hear from the Fong camp. You got to think that with that turn, stealing some of the states, securing them, that Abigail is in a pretty solid position, because there aren't a lot of her top states that Keegan is still in. You obviously have Oklahoma and Colorado, and those can be big for taking oil and gas, which she's absolutely, they are neck and neck in. But with Pennsylvania and with Illinois and with Tennessee, all of those states, as Keegan does take Colorado, there is just a lot of money that Keegan is now the one that's holding on by a thread. Keegan putting into Florida, that's going to be a big potential
Trump
shift.
in Illinois. Wow. I mean, I this is pretty late in the game, and it is still very competitive. We do see Bernie keep Pennsylvania. That'll be important, but we do see Bernie inching closer and closer to that 270. But I still don't think it's anybody's game, especially with losses of Latino and export driven from the Bernie camp, and gaining an oil and gas that candidate has penalties in.
Yeah, with minus 25% in oil and gas, you appreciate the money, but it's not going to help as much as it may with a different state group. Riley, what do you think of that play about Keegan to move into Florida this late? I kind of like the move just because so much of Abigail's strategy hinges on Florida, but with the high cost of that, it seems almost a little aggressive for someone who is up 40 electoral votes. What do you think?
I mean, I think especially since Abigail maintains that swing state, there's there's this large money gap right now, and in states like Florida, Pennsylvania, that's important.
And it certainly looks like with a lot of these plays into states that had not been previously put into that as they
Ooh,
conflict in Pennsylvania, that is really going to hurt
that's
for
big.
Abigail because that was a lot of money that she put in there. As Abigail does take Tennessee from Keegan. Keegan might be playing for ballot with some of his pushes into these states that hadn't previously been invested in. You do have a lot of those manufacturing states like Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio that just have not been put into, and you have to wonder if Abigail is maybe intentionally ignoring her own home state.
I mean, potentially. I will say, I don't think Abigail is invested too widely. So that might become important. I mean, we do see the Pennsylvania and the Wisconsin are potential pickups, but Bernie's only 21 votes away from 270. And I would like to see from Abigail, I would like to see a flip or two of a big state to really keep her competitive in this.
You have to think that she's going to try and flip Washington. If she's able to do that, that would probably give her export driven, would allow her to put some extra money into either Pennsylvania or Ohio. To me, that seems like a state that she's been lurking in for a while, and Keegan has probably let his guard down. That's definitely one of those states that she may try and make a play in. So Abigail takes
See,
Arkansas.
big spend from Trump with 657 this term.
Absolutely. You got to think that that money might start being a real factor because Trump's money is starting to have a tangible difference every turn. She does actually put into Ohio. Bernie Sanders taking Oklahoma, that does remove one of those big potential flips. And Pennsylvania, two of those potential flips off of the table. That has really got to hurt Abigail's ability to come back here. As she does secure Wisconsin and take the electoral lead.
Oh my goodness, this is getting really close.
Absolutely. Now, Keegan did win Latino on that turn, so that is going to have a lot of effect in his attempt to steal Florida from Abigail. That is going to have a lot of windfalls as he tries to defend Nevada and then take Florida from her, because if she loses Florida, it's all over.
And we still see, and that money, advantage is a little bit lessened, but really did a good job, I think, with that investment in Ohio, that investment in Montana, just inching closer and closer to that 270. This is going to go down to the wire.
And a much quicker turn that time as they max out and conflict in Alaska. Just a lot of inching up as they conflict with one pip each in Indiana and Kentucky. Just inching ever so slightly closer in a number of states as Nebraska flips over to Keegan. Oh,
Ooh,
as she comes up one pip short in Nevada. That is really going to hurt.
Full investment in Oregon. That's curious to me.
As Keegan does secure Washington, I think, to me, that is going to be a big potential loss of a pickup opportunity for Abigail, because Washington is something that I have been circling as a state that she could try and jumpstart a kind of final push. And losing that really brings the number of states that she's in that Keegan holds, it brings that number really down. So you have to think that she really needs to win and play with Kentucky and Indiana.
I mean, yeah, you gotta secure that export driven this turn. And I still think you have to be a little bit more aggressive. I think you have to spread out some of these states, because right now, Bernie's, got a lot of one pips in states. And I mean, with 261, 258, every electoral vote is going to matter. You cannot risk even one or two small states flipping.
Absolutely. When you can't accuse South Dakota of being irrelevant in a potential, 269, 269. And just like that, Hawaii flips over to Keegan. Indiana does, however, go to Abigail, and Kentucky goes to Keegan. We are looking at 270, 268. This is as close as you can get it.
Wow. There we go. We do see some investment into states like Minnesota, like New Mexico.
New York.
New York. Wow.
Wow.
Did anybody see that coming?
I certainly did not. You have to wonder if...
And ballot this turn. Oh my gosh, Steven.
You have to wonder if she put into New York to maybe force Keegan to put an extra 150,000 into it, because if I'm Keegan, I have to feel pretty good about the position. You know, you can't take Florida, really. It's infeasible, because you do have to get 5 pips just to beat out Florida without a single investment. But one of Indiana, one of Ohio, Kansas, Arkansas, Idaho, all of these are states that there's no way that Abigail is going to be able to defend in all of them. It's a 1-1 pip tie in South Carolina. Those 9 electoral votes are currently going over to Abigail. And if you're Abigail, how many states can you pick up?
I mean, I'd say that the Minnesota and the Missouri are going to be really important. I think because those, combined have 20, which is going to be sneaky. But yeah, you got to keep Ohio. Here we go.
As Keegan secures Alaska. Abigail secures Arkansas. And Idaho. This is the really big one. And Keegan does not go into Indiana at all.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Abigail taking Missouri, taking the lead, and Montana.
Oh my goodness.
You have to wonder if maybe the lights were too bright for Mr. Keegan. He really got shaken up by that New York play. Oh, no.
Ohio flip. Oh, that might be it. Oh, my goodness. What a game, though.
And Keegan, at the clock ticking down 2 with the ball and 25 seconds left, he runs the clock down and shoots a game-winning 3 to steal victory from the jaws of defeat and to win this matchup. Riley, is there anything better than this?
I mean, just what a showing from Abigail. I mean, literally to the last game, to the last turn as a 9 seed. I think we really have some questions for Keegan. I mean, just you are expected to dominate in this sort of game, and to leave it down to one state flipping. Should we be worried about his, potential for continuing this tournament?
Yeah, you got to wonder. There was really the questions coming in with the unorthodox play, at least by his own standards, going into California early. You had that Old South venture early on that, as you look right here, every single one of those states ended up with Abigail. So, ultimately you're happy to come out with a victory, but you have to wonder if Keegan's going to be able to keep it up in New Orleans against you in the next round.
Exactly.
We're going to go down to our sideline reporter, Ryan. He's going to be speaking with the loser of this matchup, Abigail. Ryan, what are you hearing from her?
1 second. We're going to have to get Abigail right now. He's been mobbed by other reporters from other networks and such. Understandable given the shocking results that we have here today. But let me see if I can work my way through her one moment, work it through the crowd. Abigail, are you with me?
I am.
Hi, Abigail. A remarkable game. I mean, I'm a bit stunned at the moment, to be honest with you, and at a loss for words. I mean, did you expect the result that we got today?
Ryan, I've spent the last week working my ass off, trying to just learn my own strategies. And I came into this knowing that I was the underdog, 9 versus 1 seed. You don't go into that expecting to pull out a win, at least not by a large margin. I just came in here looking to put up a fight, and I think I did that very well.
Indeed, you did. I mean, I don't want to focus on the negatives given how how impressive of a result this was. But is there any regret in your mind? You did have a money advantage at points. Any regrets in certain moves you made today?
I think there are a couple of states that I maybe could have locked down before Keegan got into them. But like I said, I think I put up the best fight that I could, and any regrets that I have, those are going to be things that I go back into the simulator and start fixing.
And are you going to guarantee a victory in your elimination match against Jack Allen?
I think it's stupid to guarantee anything, but I'm feeling very confident going into this match.
I appreciate you taking some time with us. Back up to Steven.
Yeah, well, we're really excited at the state of this game that you can have people come in off the street and have all of those newcomers come in and put a fight against the people who have been pillars of this game for so long. It's really nice to see kind of that changing of the guard. We're going back to Ryan, who I just saw ran across the entire field, and he's with our winner now, Mr. Keegan. Ryan.
Yeah, you guys are putting me through a workout right now, but I do it for the love of the game. Anyways, Keegan, are you with us right now?
I am. Hi, Ryan.
Keegan, you sound a bit defeated right now. I guess all I can really say is what happened.
Yeah, I mean, a little out of breath. That was a tough matchup, and kudos to Abigail. Obviously went with something a little unconventional. We'll have to go back in the lab with that, but a win's a win. Move on to the next round. Excited to play whoever's next in the second round matchup.
I guess, how does it feel that somebody that you were the teacher of, mentor, taught the ropes of 270 has put up such a performance? Did you possibly create a monster that you can't control?
I mean, I won't comment on that. I'll let her performances speak for themselves. But until I lose, I feel confident in my ability, and I feel confident in my ability to ultimately come out on top of this tournament.
And I'll ask you the same question that I asked Abigail. Are you guaranteeing a win against Riley in the next matchup?
I am very confident I can beat Riley.
I thank you, Keegan. Back up to Riley and Steven.
Wow, Riley. Calling you out from the field to the booth, that has got to be a weird feeling as a color commentator. I don't know about you. I am absolutely excited about this next matchup. It's looking like it's going to be the number 1 seed Keegan against the number 4 seed Riley in New Orleans. On the flip side of this, Abigail is going to have to travel all the way to Louisville, Kentucky, a state that she ignored when she needed it most at the end of the game, to play Jack Allen, who fought really hard against you, Riley, but ultimately came up short. That game will be on Fox Sports 1 from the Yum Center in Louisville, Kentucky. As always, I am Steven, and I am with Riley. Good night, Omaha.